Hi everyone. Middle lane hogging, or poor lane discipline, can be one of the most annoying things that we see on our roads. It upsets traffic flow and it can cause people to do dangerous things around us. And today I'm going to look at this in a bit of detail. So what is middle lane hogging? Well, it's poor lane discipline really, and it's when people stay out maybe in lane 2 or 3 of a multi-lane road and they don't come back to the left hand side. And this is one of the main things on UK roads which helps traffic flow. If you move back to the left, other people can get past. And it's similar in a large majority of countries around the world with developed road network. And this is actually explained in Highway Code Rule 264.
You should always drive in the left-hand lane when the road ahead is clear. If you are overtaking a number of slower moving vehicles, you should return to the left-hand lane as soon as you are safely passed. This is a good example where some people may think the Mercedes in front of us is middle lane hogging, but they could have stayed out because of the junction, and then the queue of cars that's in lane 1 look as though they're slightly bunched, so they could be wishing to come out into lane 2. So staying put where they are is actually a good thing. Even a little touch further up, the left lane leaves the motorway, so the lorry could be thinking about moving into lane 2.
So what pupils tend to do is that they look at this side of the road when they're taking their position, and it's pretty understandable. The dangers as they perceive are from the oncoming traffic, and they're nearer to the white line when they are in this seat, so they tend to let their eyes drift across towards the right hand side of the road rather than the left. That's often why you'll find these cars with mirrors hanging off, because people do take the position from this right side rather than the left.
What's your position at the moment, mate? Yeah, you still drift out to that white line, don't you? Don't think of here all the time, where you are from this side.
Poor lane discipline or middle lane hogging isn't just for motorways. It happens on other roads as well. So if you think about what I was just saying regarding pupils taking their position from the right hand side, if this isn't taught properly and getting them to take the position from the left, that's then going to carry on throughout their driving. And honestly, I put a lot of the blame into the teaching. Yes, instructors should be trying to teach this in a little bit better way, but I don't feel as though the tests highlight this particular problem as much as they should. So my position now, I'm thinking of it from the vans, and now I'm thinking of it from the bus. So yeah, I've got a position away, so you should always be thinking I'm going to be a door's width away at least from anything to the left, would then naturally bring you back in towards this left side of the road. But because people take their position from this central line rather than the left, that's why they tend to stay out to the right too much. Go on, Mr. Bus Driver, are you coming out? No? Okay. What I was just trying to do there, I was trying to give everyone an example of another reason why people tend to go into lane 2 or 3 all the time. It's so they don't have to deal with buses. Luckily enough, we've got another one further up. So if I was to stay in lane 2 all the way down here, I wouldn't have to deal with anyone parked or anyone pulling in like a bus. And that's just lazy. It's also a little bit of a lack of ability, but it's not just the person driving this car who has something to answer for. The space closers, as I call them, have a big thing to do with the state and poor state of middle lane hogging or poor lane discipline. Because of what I've just been talking about regarding the obstructions on the left and needing to get out, because people close space down when you try and get out to the right hand side, perhaps round a bus or another obstruction, because these people do close space, it makes it difficult. And then it makes people think, well, you know what, to save any issue, I'm just going to move into lane 2 and stay there. So the traffic's queuing. I'm going to try and find my way into the middle. Does the van close the space down or does he help? He helps. Nice man. Thank you. So like I said, when people work together, things flow. People don't feel as though they're penned in to that left-hand side, and they'll have an easier job of getting out, and they're less likely just to stick in the middle lane.
And this is a poor example where the Mercedes, this time, it's a different one, has no excuses. And it's the one that's approaching from behind in lane 3. It's slightly catching me, so it's probably got reason to be in lane 3 at this moment. When I know that the junction is clear to the left, I move back across. And what should the Mercedes do now? It doesn't, it stays put. The Nissan Juke should not undertake. Maybe moving to lane 3 behind the Mercedes may be enough to make the Mercedes realise they should be moving back across. But it definitely wasn't the time to undertake with me being in lane 1 where I was. The Nissan didn't show good lane discipline either. But the Mercedes is pretty awful. It also doesn't look as though it's going to come back to the left anytime soon, even with vehicles now approaching from behind.
Is there a little part of I'm too important to drive in this left lane? Well, I suppose there is. I've already done many videos mentioning the social hierarchy and people thinking that they're better than they are. So as you can see, it's not just for motorways, but we are going to go on to the motorway a little touch further up and discuss a few more things. So onto the motorway we go. And what I'd just like to have a little gab about just before we actually get going is the lanes. Do you still think of this left lane as the slow lane? Because it's not. It's for normal driving. It's just the other two are for overtaking. So don't think that you can't do 70 miles an hour in this lane. Or in fact, if you break the speed, I'm not saying that's the correct thing to do. If you're going to be driving at 80 and you sit in the middle lane, if there's no one in the left, you should come back to the left hand side. Alright, so we are on the motorway now. What I'm going to do is just have a little look at this van to my right for a little second. Now, is he straight away middle lane hogging? Absolutely. What should I do in this scenario? Should I go past him on this left and undertake? Well, actually no. What I'm going to have to do is drop back and move out. Luckily enough, when he saw my signal, he came back in. But people sitting in that middle lane and not catching people up causes all kinds of problems. And it seems pretty pointless from that van to be doing what he was doing. Perfect example. Now I'm catching the lorry, I am going to find my way into lane 2. So that's for a good reason. There's no issues. Overtaking, catching people. Now there's no one in front of the lorry. But I'm not going to go back in yet. Can anyone tell me the reason why already? Well, there's a lane joining from the left-hand side. So if you're approaching someone who's staying in the middle lane and there's a junction coming up, for me, they're doing the correct thing. Look at this silver Mercedes to our left. All right, he's going faster than me now, so it's no issue. But I'm still aware of the black vehicle that's catching us to my left. Now, what should this vehicle do? I am still slightly catching the vehicles on my left, so do I have to move out the way for anyone? No. This black one to my left, if they want to go faster and break the speed limit, should move out. And remember, that is not an issue, people. People think, who are coming up quickly behind, that everyone in front of them should get out of their way. And that's not the case. I am catching these vehicles on the left, so I don't have to get out of the way for anyone behind. Don't feel pressured and bullied into doing something that's not right. Up ahead, we've got a perfect example of whether to go back in or not. Good lane discipline by the Ford that's just overtaken me, top class, taking his position from the left. Is he going to go back into the left? I would only go back into the left there if I was taking this junction off. I am going to catch the lorry at a reasonable pace. So unnecessary lane changing is not the way to do it. It's not ideal. There was no one catching me behind whatsoever, but some people will be shouting at their screens at the minute and saying I'm lane hogging. I'm not. If that van's turning left, he's done a good job. All right, he's too close to the lorry now, but it didn't affect anyone, me, staying in that lane too. This is totally different now. There's no one for a long period of time. So, what I'm going to do, I want to get rid of my phone call. Is come back into the left.
It seems as though I'm picking on Mercedes drivers today. I'm not, but this one again in the middle lane to our left shows some terrible lane discipline. Look how much the traffic is bunching behind him. Just move back over, mate.
Now, a little touch further up as well. I don't know whether we've been able to see it, but we've got a police van. Since 2013, I think it was, the police got extra powers to actually hand out fines and give penalty points for middle lane hogging. But unfortunately, in that time period, maybe a few years before and a few years after, the level of policing, or the numbers of police officers, dropped or got cut dramatically. So for me, that rule and that law that came into effect had not much of an impact. Here's a perfect scenario that we can be talking about. The van isn't impressed that I'm in his way. I'm sat here doing 70 and I'm catching this lorry, and I'm also catching the four-wheel drive. So I'm going to stay put. I'm going to do exactly what I'm going to do. I don't have to get out of people's way. I'm still catching this one. If I could have got back in, allowed him to be passed comfortably, and then got back out without compromising any of my spaces and my following distances, sound. But this fella behind can wait. All that to come off the motorway. So what's your take on middle lane hogging? Is it something that you think has got worse over the years? How do you feel the revisions in the law in 2013 have had an effect? Do you think they've made things better, worse, or it's just stayed exactly the same? I'll be really interested to hear your comments down below. In the meantime, remember, if you're not overtaking or turning right, come back to the left. I'll see you all soon. Take care.